Well, it's getting ready to start. It won't be too long. And we're in the band hall of the Muleshoe High School Mighty M Band. And we have three dignitaries with us, new faces here in the Muleshoe schools, and especially to the Mighty M Band. And we have to my right the new band director. Your name is what?
I'm John Gibson.
And John, you come here from where?
Well, I've actually been retired for 9 years. Been living in Lubbock all that time. But my last band job was at Monterey High School.
I see. And before that, where were you?
I was at Lubbock High School for a little while, and McKenzie Junior High, and a few other small places like Hale Center and New Deal, and we don't have time to list all of those.
So how many years have you been a band director?
I taught for 29 years.
29 years. So where are you originally from, John?
My hometown is Deer Park.
And Deer Park is in what vicinity of our dear state?
It is east of Houston.
East of Houston. But you've been a West Texan for quite a while.
I came to Texas Tech in 1970, and I've lived in West Texas ever since.
You knew something good when you got here.
Darn right. I met my wife, who's from Idalou, and she made sure I understood how good it was out here.
Oh, well, she did a good job then, didn't she?
She did.
Now, John, what is your wife's name?
My wife's name is Linda.
Linda. And you brought some more new faces over here on my left with you.
We are so proud to have Mr. Alberts and Ms. Gregory.
And now tell me about your family. How many children do you have?
I have two children, one son, one daughter. My son has a little girl, so I have a granddaughter. And they live in Keller. And my daughter lives in Chelsea, Michigan. Her husband is a postdoc, doing some postdoc work at University of Michigan.
Now, what are your children's names?
My son is Jeffrey. My daughter is Amanda.
Now, tell us about the grandchild, the more important one.
Her name is Brianna, and she is wonderful, as all grandchildren are. You know how that is.
I certainly do.
She's 5 years old and going to start kindergarten this fall, and so she is a brilliant and beautiful child.
Oh, what is she going to play when she grows up?
Golf.
Oh, well, now tell us what is your preferred horn in the music industry?
I was a tuba major in college.
Really?
And I've played tuba in some brass quintets, and I guess that would be my major. I really prefer the sound of a French horn. I just love French horn sound. And, of course, being a band director, I have to know a little bit about all of them. So I don't have one particular one that's my preference, but I was a tuba major.
And so at Tech, now who was the band director while you were there at Texas Tech University?
I was privileged to be in Dean Killian's band.
You were privileged, weren't you?
I was one of Killian's millions, as they call us, and that's where I met my wife. In fact, we called it Mr. Killian's dating service because so many people met their spouses while they were in the Tech band. Her brother met his wife. Her sister met her husband. So we're all just one big family.
Now, also you have a brother who formerly was band director here in Muleshoe. What is his name?
His name is Anthony Gibson, and this was his first job about 1982 or 3. I can't remember the exact year at Muleshoe, and he went on to be the band director at Coronado High School and then Cooper High School in Abilene. And he's now the fine arts director at Allen High School, which is northeast of Dallas.
And so he was here in the early 80s.
I believe that's right.
I did not realize that. That was back in the dark ages almost. We've got some, at least one tape that he had his jazz band on the front lawn of our home raising money for the Muleshoe Heritage Foundation. It was a memorable occasion.
He's an outside-the-box thinker. He's really big into let's do whatever it takes to make band fun and popular and rewarding, not just all fun, but rewarding. And every place he's been, he's always had a really good, fine program.
Now, what about Muleshoe? You're coming in here on a high note. They were sweepstakes last year for the first time in many, many, many years, and so that's good. And what are your dreams, your hopes, and ambitions for the Mighty M marching band and the concert band too?
Well, making sweepstakes is pretty much the top award for any band in high school, and most everybody strives for that. And it's great that they did that. It took a lot of hard work, a lot of effort, a lot of good teaching, a lot of good student participation and buying into the program. My idea for right now would be that we could get the students to kind of buy into our program, which is not necessarily better or worse, but it's different. And so they're having to go through some change, and they're trying to realize, that we offer them an opportunity to have the same type of success that they've had before. And hopefully, and we've talked to them already about, let's set the bar a little higher. You were at one point last year, which was great. Let's see if we can move that up a little and improve, regardless of what the ratings are. We want to be better this year.
We hope to work with you very closely and see that the band gets every recognition individually as well as a group, and we hope that you'll keep us informed about our Mighty M band.
We'll be glad to do that, and we've got some talented students that are going to be getting some honors this year, and we're looking forward to sharing that news with everybody.
Well, we're looking forward to passing it along. And now the new group over here, I understand, Alex, you have just graduated from college.
Yes, I just graduated from the University of Kansas in May.
And so what was your major? Well, let's first say Alex Gregory, right?
Yes, Alex Gregory.
And but Alexandria is your name?
Alexandra.
Alexandra.
Yeah.
And what was your major?
Music education.
And so you come to Muleshoe in your first teaching experience. Are you a little bit shaky?
Not so much shaky, just ready to learn all I can learn from.
No butterflies?
A little bit, but I'm just more excited than nervous. I really want to start teaching.
Wonderful. Now, what of the instruments did you play in high school?
A French horn.
French horn. And I understand you did very well in high school.
I was a 3-year All-Stater my freshman, junior, and senior year.
Freshman, junior, and senior year. And so where did you go to high school?
Crane High School.
Crane High School. And so you graduated from Crane when?
In 2008.
2008. And went straight to Kansas?
Yes, ma'am.
And so you wanted to come back to West Texas, I assume?
Yes.
And so now tell us what your schedule will be in working with the band. It's not just the band, I understand.
No, I will be here from in the mornings till about 10 or 10:30, and then I go to DeShazo to do grades 3 through 5 general music.
And now, what about in the morning? What goes on here at the high school in the morning for the music students in the band department?
During marching season, we'll go outside and learn drill and work on playing music and marching at the same time. And then in concert season, we'll set up in concert arcs and play concert music.
And so all that time you're at high school is a band period?
Yes, or 2. I'm here for the first 2 periods.
First 2 periods. So is the band the first period of
Yes, yes, ma'am.
That's always good. And so at Mary DeShazo Elementary School, what are some of your plans for those elementary students for them to enjoy music and learn something that they can really appreciate all their lives?
Well, I've pulled all the instruments out of the closet, and we have a set of Orff xylophones set up, and I have Orfflin, and we're going to start playing that, and then hopefully get all their music basics learned, and then start working on the programs that I have planned.
What kind of programs do you have in the back of your mind?
Well, there's the 4th grade Christmas program, and then 5th graders second semester will play recorders, and then in late April, May, we'll have a recorder concert with the 5th graders.
I hope you'll let us know ahead of time so we can come and film.
Oh, absolutely.
We always enjoy that. Now, who are your parents?
Alan and Leslie Gregory.
And where do they live now?
They live in Dalhart now.
Dalhart now. Uh-huh. And what about, did you grow up with brothers and sisters?
No, I'm an only child.
Oh, great. That's the best kind. I am too. You know, I forgot to ask, but there is another music teacher, isn't there, that won't work with the band at Dillman Elementary? Is that right or not?
Yes, there is another teacher who's at Dillman.
Good. Great. It's always good to start them really young, don't you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And your name is what?
I'm Grady Alberts.
And Mr. Alberts, your position specifically, and what are you going to be responsible for at Muleshoe High School and for the Muleshoe ISD?
Well, my position here is the assistant band director with John Gibson. My secondary position is going to be the head band director at Watson Middle School or junior high.
Right.
And I'll be running that program over there, of course, with Mr. Gibson and Miss Gregory.
Now, have you already met with the high school band?
We've already had rehearsals for the past 2 weeks, and we're in our third week right now.
Wonderful.
Things are going really, really well.
Good. How many band members do you have in high school?
We're looking at about 45 to 50 right now. We're going to fall somewhere in that range. There were some students that may have not been in a program before, and they decided to not be in band, and we're trying to see if we can convince them that we've got a new team here and we'd like to see them come aboard.
Sure. And now, how many years have you been in the music department of the schools?
Okay, well, this is my 27th year of teaching. So me and Mr. Gibson almost have 60 years between both of us. So we've got a lot of experience in this business, and I'm excited about being here at Muleshoe.
And so now, what about the last position that you held? Where was that?
Well, before this, I was about to go into retirement and retire from the business, and I was a salesman at Gents House of Music in Lubbock, Texas. Before that, I was the assistant band director at Lubbock High School, and before that, I was a counselor for a number of years.
Oh, really?
That's correct. Yeah.
So you already knew Mr. Gibson?
I actually worked with Mr. Gibson years ago as his assistant band director at Hale Center.
And how did you like that? You don't listen.
Well, first of all, up to that point, I'd always been a head band director, and I always enjoyed that. I was at Roosevelt and Sundown prior to that, and when Mr. Gibson asked me to be his assistant, I was excited about doing that, and thoroughly enjoyed being his assistant, because when you're the head guy, there's a lot of responsibility. When you're the assistant, you get to teach a lot more, and you don't have to worry about so much pressure.
Now, do you have any idea about numbers at Watson Junior High of your band?
I just checked those numbers today, and we're looking at about 60 in 7th and 8th grade, and roughly 60 to 63 in 6th grade.
Oh, that's wonderful for a beginner band, don't you think?
It's wonderful because we can take that and use that as a core to start building the program up. Our goal is to help build more students into the high school programs.
Sure,
yeah.
Sure. We used to have really, really large band, and so we're looking forward to it growing.
Well,
I know it will.
Mr. Gibson was the head band director at Monterey, which had a lot of students in it. So we would like to see more students in the Muleshoe Mighty M Band.
Of course. Now, are you married?
I am married. I'm married to Debbie. That's my wife, and she works in the biochemistry department at the Texas Tech Health Science Center, and we've been married for about 32 years.
How did you all meet?
Well, I went a little bit different course than my colleagues here. When I got out of high school, and I'm an Army brat, and so my dad got stationed at Fort Hood at Killeen, Texas, and I graduated from Killeen High School, but I went into the military band when I got out of high school.
Really?
I wanted to be a professional player, and so I went into the military and did that.
What was your horn?
I'm a trumpet player.
A trumpet?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And really enjoyed my service time. And, of course, my father was a military man, so it was great to be in the service, and I learned a lot.
Well, that's wonderful. Now, in a military band, how does that work? Are you stationed in one place and you travel, or how's a military band formed, etc.?
Well, you audition to be in the military band,
Yes.
and that still happens to this day. After that, then you get placed in a band, and they station you at a band somewhere in the United States or overseas, and then you're usually there for 2 to 3 years, and if you stay in the military, you'll probably move to a new location after that. So you move around a little bit.
Now, where did you play for what occasion that was the most exciting in the military career?
Well, the first thing is that I was very lucky to have the opportunities I had while in the military band, and I got to play in the jazz band, which is, they chose those people to be in that band. I was chosen to be in that band and got to work my first time in West Texas at Texas Tech University. We were doing a military ROTC ball.
Is that right?
First time I ever came to West Texas.
What year was that?
Oh, that would probably be in 1971.
Did it blow, or was there a sandstorm, or was it a beautiful day?
Well, that was my first time to be there. After I got out of the military, I became a professional musician, and I played in a Las Vegas group that traveled throughout the United States. And I did that for about 5 years. And I met my wife at a sandstorm in Lubbock when I got when we were performing here in Lubbock.
I see.
Yes, and that's where I met my wife.
Where is Debbie from?
She's from Houston.
From Houston.
She's a Houston girl.
Well, now, when you start off with this beginner band, how do you teach a student who's never maybe even held an instrument? How do you start?
Well, each instrument has its own logistical problems, and you have to show each student, depending on his or her instrument, how to shape their mouth, how to use their tongue, how to use their air, and how to finger the instrument. So each one has their own individual problems, and we go through them one by one, teaching them how to do that.
It'd be easier if you had a band director for each instrument, wouldn't it?
Well, in some of the big 5A schools and the big metropolises, they do have separate directors for each specific type of instrument. In the smaller schools, like Mr. Gibson said, we have to know a little bit about every single instrument.
Sure. And now, what about, do you have children?
I do. I have one. Gregory which is interesting. Her last name is Gregory. My son's name is Gregory, and he is a Texas Tech Red Raider at this point.
Oh, wonderful.
He's a junior at Texas Tech.
What's his major?
He is a pre-med, on a pre-med track, and he'll major in biology and minor in chemistry.
Well, we're so glad to have all three of you in Muleshoe, and we hope you'll let us know about that junior high program and anytime you're having a concert or any awards you get.
Yes, ma'am. I think our mission statement here is to help students enjoy band, become successful in band, but also advertise them in the community as far as performances and events that they're going to be participating in.
Well, we appreciate that very much, and thank you all for your time. I know this is a busy season, and you're already ready to almost go out on the field, aren't you, John?
We made our first trip out today with the first sets of the marching show. No instruments yet. We're going to try to get them set a little bit. We are playing Meet the Mules on Monday night, so everybody needs to be sure and visit with us there. And following Meet the Mules, we're going to have Meet the Band Directors and Meet the Band. So when everybody finishes with Meet the Mules and get a little ice cream and visit a little bit, then we invite anybody to come out to the band hall and get to know us, introduce themselves, and let us find out who you are and stay around for a little bit. And we're looking forward to doing that.
That's a new idea, and we hope that you'll come by and greet all three of our band directors and make them feel comfortable and welcome in Muleshoe.